Congrats on the film. It's a great
Thank
one.
you. Can I ask you how you
Yeah,
say your name?
Lisa Lot.
Lisa, it's so
Yeah.
beautiful. I saw
Oh,
it written.
thank
I was
you.
like, that's a brilliant name. Anyway,
Oh,
continue.
yeah. Well, congrats on the film.
Thank you.
When reading the script, what were the things that attracted you to the script and the movie?
Um, Firstly, I've always wanted to do a Gothic period piece.
Okay.
So when Chris approached me with the script, I was incredibly excited. Um, I love the dynamic of the women in this script, the mother-daughter relationship, but also um, who holds the power.
Mhm.
And I think the way this film turns in terms of that power is really interesting. Um, I really liked the world that they were creating. This, all horror has one thing in common, which is isolation, I think.
Mhm. Yeah.
And it was the isolation of this almost no man's land town in the middle of nowhere that I really loved, and the secrets. And I thought all the characters were really beautifully fleshed out. Even all the cadets who could have been this sort of homogenous group, but really, when you watch it, are like very distinct personalities. So there was lots of things that
Mhm.
attracted to me initially. Yeah.
Mhm. And without spoiling the end, did you see it coming? Or
When I was reading the
yeah.
script,
Yeah.
no, which I love,
Yeah, okay.
which I loved so much.
Yeah. So it's a very dark film, very like sinister, and if I believe it was also shot during the pandemic.
It
Um,
was.
so like to lighten up the mood, like in between takes or at the end, was there anything you guys did as like a ritual or just a get together or something like that?
Um, I feel like so fortunate to have worked with this cast. It was the most beautiful group of people. And,
Mm.
particularly when you're coming into a cast where, there's a number of like young men, you don't know whether that's going to be sort of a broy energy.
Yeah.
But it wasn't at all. It was honestly, it felt more like doing a play than doing a film in terms of the camaraderie, in terms of everyone sort of being there all the time together, in terms of being this close-knit group, particularly because it was pandemic, and so there was we couldn't go out a lot. So it was very yeah, spending time together in a way that is sort of unusual for films sometimes. Also, we were all in Latvia, so no one was from there, so we were all sort of away together.
Okay.
Yeah, it was a wonderful experience in terms of the cast. So
Mhm.
brilliant.
Nice. And there's also like a lot of special effects in the film, like big scenes. And what was like the most exciting one to film?
Oh, it's funny with special effects
Mhm.
because the exciting stuff usually is what you end up seeing. Sometimes it's
Okay.
less exciting to us because
Okay.
we're reacting to nothing. We have to like create this in our mind's
Mhm.
eye when it isn't actually happening yet. But um, there was some wire work that I had to
Mhm.
do for a scene at the end, and the director was like, "Oh, I wish we could have this kind of harness because I want this to be able to be done with your body, and we don't really have the rig." And I was like, "I actually have hypermobility in my back. I can just do that with my body." So that was that was
Okay.
really fun.
Uh-huh. And then so when checking out the film, which scenes stood then out to you, like, oh my God, this was like so different to shooting it than actually seeing it.
Oh, well, some of the scenes I wasn't in.
Okay.
That I read on the page,
Mhm.
but then when I saw it, so much better than I thought. There's one between Lutz and Poe, which is possibly my favorite scene in the film, and I sort of had an idea in my head, but it was so much better. So it's always exciting when you see something on the page and then
Mhm.
you see it done better than you could have imagined. That's always really exciting.
Mhm. And so if there are like a lot of female characters in this, if you would like to portray the other one, like what would you do different or how would you give your own spin to it?
Oh, if I were, look, there's two main female
Hmm.
characters in this. Um, Look, the other female character
Yeah,
is played by the great Kate
I
Dickie.
know, I know.
I there is no way I could play it better than her. She is a magnificent actor and human. I cannot speak highly enough about her. So, and she has such a unique energy as well as this curiosity and commitment that is just um, so like I learned so much from her.
Mhm.
She's so wonderful. So I got nothing. I got nothing to
Okay.
do when Kate's playing it.
And then how was it then to step on the set for the first time? Because it looks very beautiful. So I don't know if it was the same
It
feeling on set
was
as well.
so beautiful. It was seeing this world come to life because they built these incredible sets,
Hmm.
and then we were out in the elements and the woods, and Latvia is so beautiful. Um, yeah, it was like walking into another world. It was magical.
Mhm. And like from the costumes you have to wear because they look great as well. Which was the favorite one to put on?
Oh, I have one that's sort of like this deep green.
Mhm.
And so when we were like doing the costume fittings and we were trying to work out what we wanted to use and what we didn't, I put on like the deep green coat and skirt. I was like, oh, this one has to happen. This is amazing. So that was probably my favorite.
Yeah. And how do you prepare for a role like this? Like when reading the script, what do you do as preparation?
Oh, lots of different things. Like, it really depends on what project I'm working
Hmm.
on, which will determine how I enter the world. Um, but I did a lot of with Chris, the director, and with Kate, who played my mum, talking about the backstory and how we
Hmm.
got to this place and what our dynamic is together, what our dynamic is in this world. I worked with this really great acting coach, and we did some like sensory memory stuff. So
Okay.
it's like going back in and creating memories for this character. And I haven't done that with every film I've worked on, but this one particularly because of the period and the world, we wanted to create a connection, this like tight, particularly mother-daughter
Mhm.
connection, and then connection to some of the other things in the world and how that came about. I don't want to give anything away. Um, uh, in a really visceral way. Also, the accent was a thing that we really worked through because I'm Australian, so it wasn't going to be my accent. But it was early America, which doesn't have necessarily. There were so many people from different places. They didn't have like a general American yet. And Kate wanted to use her natural accent, which is Scottish. So we had to work out. Chris didn't want me to have a Scottish accent. He wanted me to have a more like local, but with a touch of the Scottish. So I did a lot of listening to Kate in like her interviews before I met her.
Mhm.
And I got her sound down and then tried to meld it. And then I got a consistent sound, but it sounded bizarre, like I couldn't do accents. So we had to pull it right back. And I went with something like an Anglo-American with like a touch. There's just one vowel sound in the Scottish that I use just to tie me to my mum. So that was a whole
Oh
process.
wow, yeah. Well, if I'm not mistaken, you like a few weeks ago at Fright Fest, you tried the accent, didn't you? I
Oh
think
yeah, I
yes,
tried Kate. I showed her like she didn't know that I'd been
yeah,
listening to her accent for weeks and then didn't use it at all.
yeah. It was a beautiful revelation. It was very nice.
Oh, great.
Yeah, I think I have time for like one more question. Like, what's next for you in terms of like projects and films?
I have just completed a sort of neo-western that I shot in Kansas City, Missouri. I'm actually in the middle of some con film date crossover conflicts. So I'm working out what's happening there.
Okay.
I the third season of a cartoon I do called Bluey has just come out on
Mhm.
Disney Plus, and I have the third installment of a romance trilogy based on a set of books that I'm going to London, Italy, and Atlanta to finish in about a month.
Wow, sounds all exciting. good luck with all of that.
All happening. Thank you.
No worries. Yeah, well, thank you for this interview. It was nice to meet you.
So lovely to meet you.
Nice to meet you. Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much.
No worries. Bye.
What does this to a man?
Maybe it was natives?
There aren't any natives here anymore.
What are you doing, Poe?
Edgar!
Who did this to you?
I couldn't say what it is. Spirit. Devil. Indians call it bad medicine.
Why dost thou sit upon my grave, and will that lips to speak? Why dost thou weep upon my grave, and will not let me speak? My breast it is as cold as clay, my breath is earthly sweet, and if you